of King Jing Things. I'm King Jing, he's Mike Barnett, and today we are bringing you our weekly WNBA sort of wrap up, recap, whatever you want to call it. Uh, we had a couple big incidents happen within the last time that we talked. I think we wanted to try to get these done every Monday, but we're both working through some employment stuff right now, so we had stuff to tend to. But why not hit you with it like halfway through the week? But before we get started, Mike, what is going on, brother?
Jimmy, hello. Yes, sorry to everybody for not getting it out on Monday, but we are busy bees, which honestly for us is a good thing as we continue to fund our own lives, but also be able to put out content because we like to do it for everybody. So happy to be here as always.
For sure, for sure. Sometimes life hops into it throws some stuff at you, but here we are. But let's go ahead and get into it. Uh, Standout performances, Mike. Has there been anybody who has really like caught your eye over the past week or really since the beginning of the season? That is like the clear front runner for maybe MVP in your eyes.
I mean, you already know what I'm gonna say, and she was my MVP pick at the beginning of the season, and it's obviously Napheesa Collier. She's been unbelievable over the last or since the start of the season in reality, even dropping 33 points. I forget who they played against. Oh, against Connecticut on Friday of last week. So for me, she's just the outright leader in the clubhouse at the moment. Obviously, with things that we'll talk about can affect that, but there is nobody playing better in the WNBA right now than her.
100%. She's averaging 26.8 points, 7.8 rebounds, 3 assists with 2.5 steals. She's shooting 50, 40, 90. By far the best player that we're seeing this year. And that doesn't take anything away from Asia Wilson. She's obviously dominant in her own right, but this is just unreal numbers that we're seeing from Fee right now. She's having her by far the best year of her career from the free throw line right now. She just definitely looks like she has taken a step further in her overall play, and that has ended up earning her the Western Conference Player of the Week, the first one that they gave out just because the season has just started. Another person that I wanted to sort of take a little look into is Paige Beckers. She was the number one pick in this draft this past year for the Dallas Wings. She was obviously, really projected to lead this team. Maybe not to one of like a contender spot this year, but to really like shift the franchise. And this week she became the first player in WNBA history to acquire 60 points and 30 assists in their first 5 games. I feel like, that's a solid start to the career. It might not be saying much, but I mean, if you're already breaking records, you're doing something right.
Yeah, I think she's doing exactly what we talked about. So first 2 weeks are getting warmed up to the game, warmed up to the speed. As somebody that at UConn, she ran the floor. She's coming into a league where that's not necessarily possible anymore. In reality, even the last couple games, she's been playing teams. Well, really just the last game. They played the Sun. That was her first real, like, hey, I'm playing a team that arguably isn't very good. Let me go put on a good performance and just continue to prove that I'm getting better. And she's doing that. You can't really ask for much more. I think she dropped 21 points against the Sun on Tuesday. So she's obviously getting better. She's, in my opinion, I said Sonia Citron's going to win Rookie of the Year, and she's doing great for the Mystics. But I think Paige Beckers, just in the last game alone, has solidified herself back at the top again. So I'm really curious to see how that fight goes as the season continues.
For sure. She's doing what she needs to do, and that's basically just adjusting to the game speed at the next level. That'll obviously take a little bit of time, but we're talking about 5 games into her career right now. So, she's obviously got plenty of time to do that. Just to round out the standout performances, Natasha Cloud. She was involved in that huge blockbuster trade at the beginning of the or during the offseason. She gets flipped again to the Liberty, and she seems like she has seamlessly found her role within that offense. She's averaging 15, 8, and 5. She was the Eastern Conference Player of the Week this week. And she seems to really be, holding her own on this very deep team with a lot of, superstars on it. And she's making her presence known.
Yeah, I think what she's doing best is like while she's scoring points is she's just assisting better than I think New York had last year, and all that's going to do is make them better, and they're already defending champions. So like we're seeing a great team become even better, and a player that I think a lot of people were shocked to see even end up in New York, fitting in immediately. And I just that's just not normal. Like you don't see that all the time. Whether it's the WNBA, the NBA, whatever it is. So it makes it fun to watch, honestly.
For sure. You've got so much talent on that team. It seems like she has just found her place in there immediately. They're obviously still undefeated. They're 4-0 as of right now. And they have a differential of plus 17.2, which is by far the farthest or the biggest in the entire league. And that's including the Minnesota Lynx. Speaking of the Minnesota Lynx, they're continuing to roll through all of their competition as well. They're currently 5-0, coming off of a 5-point win over the Seattle Storm. Um, have they been impressive to you? If you look at the schedule that they've played so far, they've played the Wings twice. They've played the Sparks, who have not been as good as maybe we would have thought of they should have been. And they've also played the Sun, all teams with a win-loss record under 500. Does the level of competition take anything away from their impressive start?
I'm gonna say no. Big reason being is the scores are closer than I think the game is being played. Like I think towards the end of games, it's not necessarily mistakes, but it's taking some of the girls off and letting the other teams play. And sure, some would say that's not great because the scores look really close, but no, I am not concerned about that. I guess we'll learn a lot more in their next game against the Mercury, who I mean, are second in the Western Conference at the moment, so that's going to give us a much better telltale. But I would expect them to win that game as well, be 6-0, and continue to run through the WNBA the way they are.
Yeah, the Sun or the Mercury, I'm sorry, will definitely be the toughest challenge that they face or have faced so far this year. But it does seem like it's more of just them taking the foot off of the pedal, towards the end of games. It's not. I feel like they're taking this season slow. I mean, it's a long season. We got 40 games ahead of us. So no reason to just, Tom Thibodeau it and just keep all of your stars playing meaningless minutes, when the game's pretty much already decided at the end.
Yeah.
The other undefeated team that we've got in the association, 4-0, are the New York Liberty. Obviously, we already touched up on them for a little bit. They've got some wins over the Valkyrie, the Fever, and the Sky since the last time that we spoke. Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and Natasha Cloud. They're all having a phenomenal start to the year so far. Um, However, I want to ask you about Sabrina Ionescu because she seems to have been she's had a pretty slow start. She's shooting a career low 25% from the three so far. She's had her lowest points per game since her sophomore year. Do you think this is due to having an additional mouth to feed on the offensive end of the ball with Natasha Cloud being there, especially one being another high level guard?
I do think that has something to do with it, but I also don't see it as an issue in reality because, I think we get caught up in the Caitlin Clark fever or in the NBA, like the guys that are playing really well. Whereas if you asked Sabrina Ionescu, I guarantee you she would not be at all worried about it because they are 4-0, and that's what you're trying to do is win games. So it'd be one thing if the Liberty were doing poor and had really close games and she needed to step up, but they haven't really had that at the moment. Maybe in the Fever game. If it continues as a trend over the next 10 games, I think I would be more concerned. But I just genuinely think they're playing so well, it doesn't matter. I wouldn't be surprised to see her pick up her shot here soon, too.
For sure. Plus, like we said, we're only 5 games into the season. It does take a lot to, shift around and like change your type of play when you add another a star onto your team. But I feel like those two's skill sets don't necessarily overlap quite like that. We're seeing Natasha Cloud be much more of a facilitator than Sabrina Ionescu might be. So it might mean taking a step back in terms of what her role is within this team, but uh, obviously it's for the overall good of the team, and it seems like they are one step, or they've become one step closer to winning a championship this year.
Yeah, I mean, they have 5 girls that are averaging double-digit points. Like, I'm sure they are not worried whatsoever about stats. They're worried about winning, and they look like they are on their way to an absolute collision course with the Lynx once again.
For sure. And also just to say, Sabrina Ionescu, she is averaging the least amount of turnovers that she ever had in her entire career. So, it's not all bad. It's just the 3-point shot is what's really glaring to me at this point in time.
Isn't it crazy how basketball has changed in that way that no matter what you watch, like you're so worried about the three and like and I am too, right? Like that's just what we think about because that's the game that we like to watch. 15 years ago wouldn't have ever been a thought.
And then the last team that I sort of wanted to sit here and highlight is our Atlanta Dream. Obviously, y'all knew this was coming. We've been pretty busy. We over the last 6 games, we had four game, or last 6 days, we've had 4 games. And we ended up walking away with 3 wins of those 4 games, and the only loss that we had was against Caitlin Clark in the Fever. Unfortunately, that was the home game, but it was only a 5-point loss, and it's coming back from like a back-to-back series against them. I feel like it's hard to pick up 2 wins in a row from the same team. That's across all sports in general. But is there anything that has really like stood out to you while watching the Dream?
Let's just start with the fact that they're scoring so much more than they were last year, and they're continuing to score. Offensively, they look 10 times better than they did last season. The way they're stretching the floor is so much different. Brittany Griner still looks incredible. I mean, she's not what she was 10 years ago, but like she is everything that the Dream needed, as well as Brianna Jones. And then Alicia Gray keeps having these huge games where she's scoring all these points. And if we go back to the Fever game, let's talk about Reinhauer absolutely locking down Caitlin Clark. Like, people can make it whatever they want, read social media, whatever. She was defending for her life out there. Caitlin Clark still had a double double, fine. There are certain players, whether it's the WNBA, the NBA, that you just need to lock them down to an extent and make the rest of the team win the game. And that's what she was able to do. Like, sure, we lost, but if you can take away the best player, the other players have to step up, and they did, and it is what it is. But we are watching a basketball team that is a complete 180, in my opinion, from last season, and the fact that like they truly believe every time they touch the court that they can win. They're playing together well. I would argue, obviously, super biased, don't really care. They're the most fun team to watch in the WNBA right now.
For sure, it's the 180 that you mentioned that they've done. I feel like over the past few years, they have definitely been more of a defensive oriented minded team, and they sort of just punted on the offensive side of the ball. But, we did get a new head coach this year, Carl Smesko. And we currently have the third highest offensive rating in the league. And that is after being second to last year. We also have been taking the third most threes per game. I think last year we were taking 19 threes per game. Right now we're taking 31. So we're taking the shots that I think we need to be taking, or the Dream need to be taking. The problem is that we're shooting 32.6%,
Yep.
which is not great. That would be the ninth best in the league. I feel like you continue to take those shots though, because when they do eventually start falling, and we know that they will, then that just moves us into a whole nother tier. I feel like, right now we are fourth in the entire, league in terms of where we are ranked for our win losses. I feel like if we start hitting our threes, we're we can move into the names like the Lynx and like the Liberty. It's just about finding that right shot. But yeah, complete 180 in terms of what we've been seeing from the Dream.
100%. And we have to keep shooting because I think it goes back to the point. We shot 19 last year because nobody needed to play interior defense. It did not matter. Like the outside was everything that people played defense on last year because we didn't have anything else. Brianna Jones and Ryan and Brittany Griner are literally making teams set somebody else inside, leaving the opportunity for shots. I definitely agree that we need to make more. I actually think that will come with time, but again, it's like it's completely different from what they're used to. They weren't able to move the ball around the same way that they can now with the fact that the defense has to remember the basket.
For sure. Next, I got a couple of injury updates just from the association. Obviously, the biggest one comes from Caitlin Clark. She will be out for at least 2 weeks. They're going to reevaluate her after those 2 weeks, but it's due to a left quad injury. Um, were you watching the game? I don't really know where the injury sort of occurred. It doesn't seem like you can point to one play.
I was not watching the game. From what I read about it, it was a lingering injury, like that she has had a little bit and felt okay, and it got a little bit worse. Um, a couple weeks. It sucks because the WNBA is so fast of a season. They play 40 games so quickly, even more than I feel like the NBA does over their long season, that it feels like it's a huge detriment. But I think there are people on the team that can pick up the slack for her for the time being. I don't think they need to win every game while she's out, but they definitely are going to have to pick it up and win some. And hopefully, again, it is only a couple weeks because it didn't seem like she's doing too poorly. Maybe it's easier to rest at the beginning than it is later.
For sure. I feel like you got to rely on the vets on the team at this point in time. That is the Dewana Bonners of the world. She had not started the season that well, but now that maybe that Caitlin Clark's out, that gives her a little bit more room to flourish. We saw that in their last game, where she ended up going off, having the best game of her season so far. Um, but yeah, hopefully we see Caitlin Clark back in the next 2 weeks. I saw something on Reddit the other day that was like just the ticket price and seeing the Fever play. Can't remember who they played.
The Sky?
It was or was it the Sky?
Yeah.
I think it was Washington. This past Wednesday, yesterday.
Oh,
The
okay.
ticket prices dropped by like 66% just because Caitlin Clark isn't playing. So,
I saw that
uh,
happen for the Sky game too, though. Like they were talking about because obviously that's her and Angel Reese again, and how the tickets plummeted because she's probably not going to play in that game.
right. So, uh, next time you say that Caitlin Clark might not be the most impactful, most important player in the WNBA, look at those numbers. See the fall off in viewership whenever she gets hurt. Next here, I've got Haley Van Lith of the Chicago Sky. Obviously, she was a higher draft pick from this most recent draft. We haven't seen her since last Thursday against the New York Liberty. She's missed the last 2 games due to an ankle injury. I had heard there were some rumors uh, uh, before the season had even started that she had tweaked her ankle at some point during the week leading up to the opening games. But the Sky just assumed it wasn't going to be that serious. Now she's in jeopardy of missing the game tonight against the Dallas Wings. Obviously, she has not been playing the biggest role for this team. But obviously, you don't want to see a rookie that had as much hype as she did get hurt. So, we'll see what happens with her. I believe she's just day to day at this point in time, but a lingering ankle injury is not something that you want to see at the start of your career.
I'll tell you what, I think this guy has so many bigger issues than Haley Van Lith at the moment, her injury. Like, just give her a couple games to get fully healthy because they're going to possibly need some production from her. Because I'm going to be honest, I said in our preview show, I was like, oh, their odds are pretty low. Like, I'm pretty surprised. They fucking suck. Like, they're bad. I didn't think they would be that bad. I didn't want to project them being that bad, but they're bad. So they got other fish to fry. Give her some time to get the ankle fully healthy first, because maybe then she can make an impact, because they're going to need her at this point.
For sure. 0-4. Uh, you mentioned like the season goes by so quickly. You might as well just punt on this season so far because you are not a good team. The only thing that they seem to do well is rebound. They
And
can't
by
shoot the
they,
ball worth
it's just
shit. They
Angel
can't
Reese
score. It's just Angel Reese and it's
getting
all
her own
her
rebounds.
own rebounds. It's crazy.
Crazy. Jinx.
And then the last injury that I've got here is just because it's an Atlanta Dream player. It's Jordan Canada. She injured her knee during a preseason game, and we haven't seen her since. It was expected to be a 2-week knee injury for her. But last week we got an update saying that she was expected to make a full recovery in the next few weeks. So I don't really expect to see her until maybe the end of June at this point in time. Uh, it seems to be a little bit worse than initially expected. But just with the way that the Atlanta Dream has been playing, they should be able to just slowly integrate her back into the lineup. This doesn't seem like it's really going to affect us. Obviously, when she's back, I expect her to have a large role in this team. But with the time being, we seem to be handling it pretty well.
Yeah, I think right now with the way the team is playing, she can feel good about her injury healing and taking the time to make sure that she gets back fully healthy, because I do think she could be a really great role player on the team. Just looking on ESPN too, it says right now that Brittany Griner is day to day. It doesn't say an injury or anything like that, so hopefully that's just maybe that's wrong, or maybe she's just taking a break, but would
I
not like to see
believe that
anything
she
there.
missed the last game that we played. I don't believe she was in that, but we still ended up getting a win. Um, Obviously, if Brittany Griner is missing, that would be huge because she's obviously one of the best role players that we've got on the squad. Right now, the Dream is the best rebounding team in the entire association, and you could bet that, at least half of that is probably Brittany Griner. So
Or Brianna
definitely.
Jones. I think she's had over 10 in her last maybe not the last two games, but in the first four games she played, she had over 10, which is pretty electric.
That just goes to show those acquisitions for us have been absolutely huge.
Yep, we love it. Go Dream,
Uh,
baby.
Go Dream. And then I just thought we'd end it off with some of the upcoming matchups over the next week. Is there anything that like you're looking out for?
Let me see, Jimbo. Um, Personally, I'm excited to watch Dallas play Chicago tonight, because I think Dallas is just going to work them. Again, I think as much as I want Sonia Citrone to win the Rookie of the Year because I picked her, I think Paige Beckers is doing exactly what she needs to do to put herself back at the front. So that's always exciting. I'm excited to watch Los Angeles, Las Vegas tomorrow, because Kelsey Plum's going back to Las Vegas. Obviously, she played there last year. I think that'll just be a fun match. But my favorite matchup coming up, and it's tomorrow, is Minnesota Phoenix. They're fighting for the West right now. They probably are the two best teams in the West, realistically. At least from what's happening, like the Aces have not looked super great just yet. So that could be a real telltale for what's going to come out of the West during this season.
I had that marked down as well. You've got the 4-1 Mercury looking to hand the Minnesota Lynx their first loss of the season. Those are the two powerhouses of the West. So that's what I had marked down as the best game to watch out for over the next week. You also have the Connecticut Sun looking to capitalize on the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark, so they're still looking to get their first win of the season. So that'll be an interesting watch. And then tonight I've got the Golden State Valkyries against the New York Liberty, just because it's an expansion team playing against the defending champions. So just an interesting watch. I can't really say it'll be good just because of the variance between the two of the teams, but um, yeah, just something to watch out for.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I think the line is New York minus 16 and a half, and I'm pretty sure I would hammer that if I was a
Yeah,
betting
that's
man.
probably not big enough.
Yeah, it's sad, but that again, it's nothing against Golden State. They are just an expansion team. They're still figuring it out. It takes time. Like nothing happens easy. So, this is a great test for them to go and play a really good team and see what happens.
Is there one good thing that you can say about the Valkyries season so far?
They're trying their best. I mean, they're
Sad.
2-2. It's like they have more wins than the Chicago Sky. So like, I really
For
can't
sure.
like,
That's saying something. That's
you know
certainly
what I mean? Like, they've beat the Sparks and they've beat the Mystics and the Mystics beat the Dream. So if we're going by the transitive property, I mean, they're really not that bad of a team. It's just like the Liberty trounced them when they played them last time, and they're playing them again. It's just gonna be tough. But you know what? Really thinking about it, they might be better than the Chicago Sky. Just gonna say it.
I expect the Sky to turn it on at some point in time. It would be very, very disheartening if we saw them have a worse season than an expansion team, especially one that is assisting the least amount on every single one of their possessions. They are a very mid to average rebounding team, and they can't score worse shit. So, uh, but yeah, that's more of a testament to how bad that Chicago has been playing recently. That is
It's awful.
it's something. And then the last little note here that I have is starting Sunday is the WNBA Commissioner's Cup. Uh,
Is that Sunday?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
starts Sunday, beginning of June. For those of y'all that don't know, because I definitely didn't know until a couple days ago that they even had this, it is another mid-season tournament like the NBA does, where each team is matched up against their conference rivals. This is sort of supposed to combat the lack of rivalries between each conference because they don't take conferences into play whenever they're determining the playoffs. So this is just supposed to be more of a rivalry based thing, where you go up against everybody in your conference, and it's supposed to
Excuse me.
revive East versus West. Winner of the tournament wins $500,000. I believe that's probably like $30,000 per player on the roster. The MVP, I believe, gets another 10K, and then the losing team, each person gets 10K from that. So, you know, last year the Lynx beat the Liberty. Those are two of the hottest teams in the WNBA right now. So maybe this is good for projecting the following year. So maybe we will see who wins the Commissioner Cup this year, and whoever wins, I'm going to take to win the WNBA Finals next year. How about that?
Well, let's put it like this. I have a bold prediction. I believe that the Atlanta Dream are going to win the Commissioner's Cup.
I was thinking that just like a nice because take advantage. The Lynx and the Liberty, they probably don't give two shits about this tournament. They are
This
looking for
They
the
both won
top.
already. Yep, they won
Yeah.
the championship.
So why not take a up and coming team like the Dream? Maybe the. I mean, I guess it depends if Caitlin Clark is back, but maybe the Fever, uh, or even the Mercury. We mentioned that the Mercury have been balling recently. So Atlanta Dream, what would you? I wonder what those odds are looking like.
Well, unfortunately, statistics say that whoever won the Commissioner's Cup the year before wins the championship, which I think is what you just said. Literally, the Aces won in 2022, then they went on to win the championship in 23. The Liberty won the Commissioner's Cup in 23, won the championship in 24. Now, the Lynx won the Commissioner's Cup in 24. I would put all my money on them to win it in 25 now.
The Liberty are currently favored at plus 128 to win the Commissioner's Cup. And it does not look like the Atlanta Dream are even a top six pick here.
I would pick them right now. What are the odds?
I'm looking for the odds right now. They only gave me the top six teams. They're 50 to 1.
I might be calling a guy, throwing him $20 and saying, "Here you go, buddy. Let's see it."
That's crazy. That's crazy. The disrespect.
For real, what the hell are we doing here?
But yeah, that wraps up everything that I've got over here. Is there anything that really like stood out to you that you want to talk about?
The only other thing, and I just want to continue to talk about it, is the WNBA has been so physical this season. I think the play has continued to go up as it has in years past. The WNBA is much more than Caitlin Clark, although I understand that she brings a lot of eyes. So I'm not against that by any means. But if you are a casual Caitlin Clark watcher, watch some of the other games too and start getting used to some of these other names. Asia Wilson is still probably the best player in the NBA. But the way Napheesa Collier is playing, like, get used to watching her in the playoffs this season. Like, if the Lynx somehow play the Fever in the finals, like, you're gonna want to know why they're playing. Like, just take the time to sit down and watch. A lot of these games are on Prime Video, so if you have Prime Video, they'll be on there. Or if you have cable, they're on Ion. If you really want to watch, there you can get League Pass for like $9.99 a month. So just again, I'm really glad that we've dove into it this season. It's been really fun. My fantasy team is ass, but that's my fault. And good luck to everybody else.
One last thing I got here. Chicago Sky. They are retiring Candace Parker's number on August 25th when they go up against the Las Vegas Aces. Candace Parker was only there for 2 years, and she helped bring the first and only championship that the Chicago Sky have to the city. If you are a Chicago Sky fan, do you want to see her number retired?
You know what? Yes. I think it's different from, obviously the Bulls in the NBA. The WNBA is a little bit different, and Candace Parker is one of the greatest players, whether it was in college or the WNBA of all time. I don't hate it. It's just not as much of it. If it was a 30-team league, it'd be different, but it's different. I think I would be okay with it.
Also, it's sort of the same thing with like Kawhi and the Raptors. Like Kawhi helped lead the team to the Raptors' only NBA championship ever. Do you believe that he was as impactful as, let's say a Kyle Lowry was for that franchise, even though he was only there for a year? I'm going probably yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
The
I mean,
first championship.
Kawhi's not going to retire tomorrow, and that they're going to suddenly be like, we're retiring it. But in 10 years, if the Raptors are terrible for 10 more years, you don't think they're thinking to themselves, wow, what a year that was that Kawhi was there and helped us win a championship? Because Kyle Lowry was there long enough, and he didn't do it by himself, and DeMar DeRozan didn't do it either. So if it took Kawhi Leonard to come in and you won a championship, so be it.
Yeah. Congrats to Candace Parker on that. Appreciate you guys hopping on and listening. If you have any comments that you want to make about our predictions of the Commissioner's Cup, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.